What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be why so many men do not want to get married. Before I get into the video, though, gotta do YouTube stuff. The goal is 75,000 subscribers by August. It's a crazy goal. It's a big goal, but it's my goal. I know the way I'm gonna get to my goal is if you give me the HBO special. Do you know what the HBO special is? That's the Help a Brother Out special. All right, so go on and help a brother out. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. I'm gonna give you a second to do that. All right, now let's get to the video. Why so many men do not want to get married. Let's see what they gotta say.
But some guys don't want to settle down.
Well, it turns out men just don't want to tie the knot, and I guess it's our fault. That's according to a controversial new book called Stand By Your Manhood, a game changer for modern men.
Joining us right now to offer her perspective for this debate, the author who is defending his book, Peter Lloyd, and developmental psychologist, Dr. Cooper Lawrence. Welcome to both here.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Author, you've gotten us into a lot of trouble. What are women doing to men to make them not want to get married?
So I feel pretty safe. We have an Atlantic Ocean between us, so I feel pretty safe here that I can discuss it without.
There are people there who can beat you up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What do you base that on?
I can imagine.
Peter?
But look, I always say marriage is the fraud of the rings if you're a man. It's a wonderful institution if you're a woman because it safeguards you in so many ways. But generally, when marriages go wrong, as they frequently do, they generally fall in the favor of women. This is true in both America and in the UK. And let's be honest here, it's a contract. It's a legally binding contract, and it serves men. Not at all. So absolutely, men need to be wise to it and avoid it at all costs.
Peter, do you blame feminism?
I think there is a certain strand of feminism which has prioritized the safeguarding of women over men, even though we're all supposed to be equal. And I think what's happened is that now we live in a society where we're told men can't view women as sex objects, but women can view men as success objects, and that needs to change.
I want to bring in Dr. Cooper Lawrence here.
Okay, first of all, I have to go with the research. I think a lot of what Peter talks about is very anecdotal, but what the research shows is that women feel the same way. It's not just men. It's not like men are the ones who are deciding, marriage isn't for me and women are trying to trap me. The latest research shows that women feel the same way, and between the ages of 18 and 30, the emerging adults, they're less likely to want to get married at all. There was a Pew study done recently. 25% of millennials just never want to get married at all. That's women and men, and the majority are also women. So the idea that men are being trapped by women is ridiculous.
Do you believe that women are to blame here? And do you believe that men should be running from marriage when it comes to families? Let's not think. A lot of marriages include children, and we've seen the benefits of marriage as it pertains to kids.
It's funny. Ask Men did this study recently, and they asked men. They asked 20,000 men, do you want to get married? 95% said absolutely. Marriage is definitely in my long-term plan. But the research is showing that men are getting married later, that women are getting married later, that people are getting married later. So I think what Peter's talking about might be people in their 20s and 30s,
Peter,
but once you get older.
Peter,
I think the reasons are different, but I am going to do this, right? Because I am pro-marriage, right? I do want to talk, because in the red pill community specifically, and I know y'all, because I definitely got my cons about it too. All right, don't get me wrong. I definitely got my cons about it, and it is taking advantage of a lot of men, but we'll have that conversation in a second. But first, I do want to talk about, in the red pill community, there are so many content creators that are so against marriage. And I'm going to tell y'all like this, right? As a content creator, so let's just take my boy MTR, for example. And this isn't no attack on MTR. No, I don't want y'all going back and forth saying I have no problems with MTR, right? But just for him, for example, he is in a position where he is doing well, right? He has a significant, because I am a content creator, I know how much content creators make. He makes a good amount of money, I'm sure. All right, let's just say it like that. With that being said, a man like MTR, who has already gotten to the point where he's worked hard, he's sacrificed his 20s, he's applied himself, right? A man like MTR in his late, I think he just turned 36, so in his later 30s, he may have a case for why he doesn't want to get married. Why? Because he sacrificed his hard years and put in his time. He don't want some woman coming along for the wrong reasons, being part of his life, even though they rejected him in his 20s. Now she wants to come along for the wrong reasons and take advantage of the bag, basically. And I completely understand that for his case specifically. But the problem is, so many content creators, they make a decent amount of money. And if you haven't found a person before you made that money, yes, I do agree marriage might not be exactly for you. But for the majority of men, it has so many benefits. It has so many benefits. And when I talk about the benefits, one of the big ones is just the fact that you have sexual security. All right. And I know women that might listen to the video, they go crazy, right? But for men, sex is not, I do believe you should practice sustaining from sex. I believe you should have control over your sexuality as a man. And that is how you're going to be the most powerful version of yourself. But if we're going to be completely honest, sex matters a lot to most men. A lot of men, I would say 95% of men enjoy and seek out sex. With that being said, having that sexual security makes it so that you don't have to spend so much time and money focusing on trying to get people to your bedroom, because a lot of people want to act like they players and act like they could just go out and find women and this and that. Unless you're a 9 or a 10 guy, you're not, and that's what I mean when I say 9 or 10, I mean by looks. I'm talking you're a handsome, tall, athletic build guy. You're not just going out and just picking up women at large, right? If we're just completely honest, it usually takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and sometimes a lot of money to get a woman from conversation to the bedroom. Let's just be completely honest. Let's keep it a buck. So that money and time you're spending watching porn and beating your meat, all that time you're spending trying to chase women and spending it on dates and trying to get women to do this, that time could be invested into yourself. That money could be invested into your future with your wife, and just 2 incomes are better than 1. And if you're a traditional guy, you don't want her to work as much, even if she's doing a part-time gig, that's better than nothing. That's still more income coming into your house than if you were alone, right? And if we're just, not only that, but you have an investment into society. And I think people don't understand how important this can be for a lot of guys. Having somebody that we're responsible for makes guys go to a next level, right? It just does. It just makes you go to another level when you have people that you're responsible for, and picking up that responsibility is a big part of life. Now, I do have my cons about it, and don't get me wrong, we're going to get into those, but I want to continue the video. But just, guys, a lot of the content creators, they're well off. So them saying they don't want anything to do with marriage, it's a little bit more understandable because they've built their wealth and they're single and they don't want some woman just coming along and exploiting that, right? But for common guys, regular everyday guys that are making 50K plus an extra 36K from a part-time woman, now you're at 86K. Now you're able to talk. Now you're able to put money away for investments. Now you're able to do certain things to build your future. When you look at the top 10 richest men, you're going to see a list of 10 men that were married on their way up. Now, what happened when they got to the top? Divorce, right? And this is another thing going into the legacy argument. It's just the price of doing business, right? You're going to have to pay the cost to be the boss. Unfortunately, because men at large have not gotten together and fixed these what's going on with the marriage laws, the divorce laws, and divorce court, we haven't established that. We haven't gotten together as a collective and handled that situation. We're currently still in a situation where it costs a lot of money to be the boss. And what I mean by that is, if you want to have a legacy, statistically speaking, I'm saying, you are at a huge advantage if you're in the same house with your woman and a child. And a lot of people will go, well, what about co-parenting? Good luck. If you're a man making 50K, good luck convincing a woman to spend 10 years with you just shacking up in your house. Good luck. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. Some of y'all got game. Some of y'all can do it. But most women are going to want that security. All right. And I'm sorry to say it, since we haven't gotten together as a collective, that's just the price of your legacy. Because this is your legacy. Barely even hers. Mostly yours. And I just think that that's something that men have to be responsible for. I am going to talk about the cons in this video. Just give me 1 second. Let's continue.
You're focused on divorce. When divorce happens, your research shows men get screwed. They lose half of what they have. They can't see their kids in a lot of cases.
True. Completely right.
Yeah, absolutely. It happens all the time. And this is after, don't forget, this is after 50 years of so-called, equality drive from feminism. If feminism was such an equality movement, and don't get me wrong, it's done some wonderful things, but if it was such an equality movement, why would it allow fathers to be so disenfranchised from families? Why would it even allow the very existence of alimony, which is such an old-fashioned concept? I'm sorry, the very basis of equality is that men don't need to subsidize women because they're independent and they can pay for their own lives.
We talked about this on my radio show last night, and I was really surprised how many men and how many women called and said, you know, I don't want for the rest of my life. I want to be able to make my own money. And they don't. Well, if you gave up your life for a man and decided to have children and be home and you don't have a career, that's very different. But most of the women that called my radio show had their own lives and their own careers, and they were the ones that were being asked to pay alimony.
And child support.
Well, child support, I think everybody should pay. I mean, child support's important.
Yeah.
We're talking about alimony.
Absolutely.
Free money for a succession of years.
All right, Dr. Cooper Lawrence here in the United States, and Peter Lloyd, the author of the new controversial book, Stand By Your Manhood.
And now we're going to talk about some of those cons, right? And all that she was talking about at the end, that's shenanigans. I call BS. You got 40% of women leading the leading breadwinners of their families. It's pretty easy to be the leading breadwinner of your family if you are in single motherhood, by the way. But if you're 40% of women are the breadwinners of their family, but only 3% of the alimony is going to men. So somebody's math is off here. Right, and she's talking about women are calling and this and that's anecdotal evidence. She was just saying, she made the argument that he's using anecdotal evidence at the beginning, but at the end of that, she then goes on to use anecdotal evidence, saying that people calling her show were saying they don't want. That's shenanigans. If we're completely honest about the institution of marriage, it is disgusting. You can't talk about how you can't go around and preach how you independent, but you're dependent on the government. All right, you can't walk around and talk about how you're an independent woman, but you're getting alimony. That's not how that works. When you look at, and this is clearly broken, when you look at Johnny Depp's situation, him getting abused by Amber Heard, and then him having to pay. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I getting this? No, yeah, Johnny Depp getting abused by Amber Heard, and then him having to pay $7 million from a 17-month divorce. Absolutely disgusting. And we can always go far into that. Men as a collective, and I wonder if we can do something about this truly. Like, I'm honestly getting to the point where I'm like, we have to fix this institution. Why? Because this institution is the institution that builds families. And there are so many men, rightfully so, that don't want to get involved in marriage because it's broken. It's a horrible contract that incentivizes one party to quit out. Marriage is hard, it's tough, but when you know that you got 50% of your stuff on the line as a man, you're gonna thug it out. You're gonna find a way. But women are being incentivized to leave marriage, and that is absolutely ridiculous, and I believe is disgusting. I think men as a collective, though, need to grow some kahunas, need to stand up, need to start, just like how women was doing with feminine, need to figure it out so that we can get that changed, because marriage is a great institution for children specifically. Now, after you have your children, Jeff Bezos, your children get old enough and you want to get a divorce, do whatever you want to do and go do whatever you want. But if we're just talking about building balanced children, it's undefeated. It's completely undefeated. But a lot of men have just woken up to how broken it is. You can't have a society of women that want to be independent women, quote unquote, and then incentivize those women to quit out on marriage and give them alimony. That's ridiculous to me. Alimony was something reserved for women that sacrificed their sexual prime years, 20s to 30s, sacrificing their career to take care of a home in order to build a legacy for a man, right? But in a lot of cases today, that's not what's happening. So that law, it needs to be changed in some way. Now should women be out to dry? Probably not, right? We don't want to give them zero. I think a reasonable 10, 20, 30%, that's negotiable, right? But let's not just go 50% and then she gets alimony for that's absolutely ridiculous to me. And if you want to do, we could get into the argument when it comes to children and men not being taken seriously because of sexism. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to sexism. When we're talking about fathers being less competent, when it comes to fathers being less able to take care of their children, that's just pure sexism. There's no facts or no statistics to back that argument. That's just something somebody made up. This stuff needs to be changed. Till next time.